When I reflect back on the beginnings of my educational journey, my memories reveal a path that was filled with shards of jagged stones. Those stones were thrown at me by a multitude of individuals who in turn created in me a sense of self-doubt. I was a child raised by a single-parent mother who worked hard to do her very best. I was a child of a father who chose his vices and addictions over providing the stability of a two-parent household. I was a child who carried the incredible weight of a learning disability, which created in me an internal dialogue of self-hate and doubt in who I was. I have always loved learning, yet it was never easy for me. It was not hard for the 9-year-old me to realize that while I sat in the corner group with a cutesy name and watched my classmates tackle chapter books, I attempted to make it through a children's book full of pictures, as if the cute name would help us not notice that the reading groups were divided into those that could read and those that could not. I labeled myself dumb and unworthy before others could as a coping mechanism. I believed that if I created the label in my mind first, it wouldn't hurt so much when others threw the stones of shame, rejection, and doubt in my direction. This is how I felt growing up. It is hard for me to admit today that even though I faced the world with a bright smile, in reality, underneath was a little girl who was scared of failing. However, I count myself as one of the fortunate ones because I had a mom who fought for me and a few life-changing teachers who turned my shame and self-doubt into success. I would have been the perfect AVID student had AVID been in my life when I was young. It is because I grew up ducking from broken, jagged stones that I chose to become a first-generation college student to pursue a career as an educator who would fight for her students. I wanted to be a teacher who would take the hits and protect her students from all the labels that society throws at them. I wanted to let my students know that the road of poverty that many of them were walking, or the failure label that society had attached to them, could and would end with them just like it had with me. I have to admit that when my career as a teacher began, I knew the why of my work, but I didn't know how to do the work. My why had been crystallized by my own struggles and hurts. However, my how was fumbling and flailing. Self-doubt began to rear its ugly head again, trying to evade the teaching career I had worked so hard to earn. This is why I believe passionately that teachers need world-class professional learning opportunities and systematic structures of mentoring support so that we can become the very best teachers for our students. In the summer of 2009, I had the opportunity to attend my very first AVID Staff Institute. Despite what I knew about AVID and how I loved what AVID stood for in regards to student achievement, I had never experienced support and training like I did that summer. My teaching mindset was shifted as the staff developers in my Strand room developed in me the capacity to take the Wicker strategies back to my classroom. The hurt and pain I had carried in my own life had been my motivation to prevent others from hurting. I had been feeling hopeless and devastated that I was not being effective, but AVID changed that perspective. AVID helped create in me a champion who would teach her students how to advocate for themselves so that together we close opportunity and achievement gaps. Before AVID, I was not the best teacher, but since AVID, I now have the skill set to give my students the very best of me. I left Summer Institute knowing I had evolved as an educator. I was eager to get back to my classroom and share all that I had learned. The core teachings of the AVID strategies focusing on Wicker now filled every corner of my classroom. AVID gave me the tools to build relational capacity in my classroom, which in turn allowed me to develop a practice of rigor that challenges my students to achieve. Writing, inquiry, collaboration, organization, and reading became the touchstones that impacted my daily interactions with my students. These are the stones that I needed to hand to my students. These are the stones that provide a foundation for my students to rise. These foundational stones help my students break down barriers and shed discriminatory labels in order to be successes in their own lives. Currently, in my role as an AVID district director and as an AVID staff developer, I continue to seek ways to pay it forward, supporting teachers by deepening their understanding of Wicker strategies so that their students can gain the highest levels of achievement is a labor of love I gladly give to AVID. AVID is inspiration. AVID is empowerment. AVID is the light that chases away the darkness of self-doubt. This is AVID. Welcome to the family.